How to stop sexually objectifying every woman you come across. I think we all would agree that a byproduct of an overconsumption of pornography is that it wires our brain to sexually objectify every woman we come in contact with. And this can make life, living, reality hard for many men. Because if you're struggling with a pornography addiction and you're trying to overcome it, living in a state with every single woman that you come in contact, interact with, you continue to sexually objectify, will make it feel like this battle is almost unmeasurable or unwinnable. And it leads men to isolation, to thinking that the solution is to keep themselves away from beautiful women. And brother, I'm here to tell you, if that's what you're thinking, that's going to lead you to a very isolated and depressive life. And it's always going to keep you a slave to your thoughts, a slave to lust. And that's why I tell our men that we work with, that's why we make it embedded into our coaching program, that the way that we must begin to think about women is we must learn to appreciate and acknowledge a woman's beauty, but understand that there's a difference from crossing that line into objectifying and participating in it. Because I think the man that can live in the world and appreciate and acknowledge a woman's beauty for what it is and not have it control his thoughts and not have it control his flesh is a man that will succeed at conquering this addiction. So in this episode, guys, of The Rebuilt Man, I'm going to talk to you about a framework that we teach our men, that we teach our students to help them not just conquer this addiction, live a porn-free life, but live out in the world where they can interact with, associate, be in conversation, in relationships with beautiful women and not be constantly sexually objectifying them. I always point to a conversation that I had with a great friend of mine, Tony DiLorenzo. Tony, I've had him on the podcast multiple times. He and his wife run One Extraordinary Marriage. They're an incredible podcast coaching ministry for couples and relationships out there that help them restore intimacy and connection within their relationships through their 6-pillar framework. Tony came on and talked about their 6 pillars of intimacy, a powerful framework to help restore intimacy and regain and rebuild connection in our relationships. But all the work that Tony and his wife Alicia are doing and have done over the last 14 years stems from struggles that they were having in their relationship, which was rooted in Tony's pornography addiction. And it was them working through this. It was Tony rewiring and reframing how he looked at women and how he looked at his wife that enabled them to restore the connection and rebuild their marriage. And now they've helped thousands of other couples around the world do the same. And I remember something very specific on the episode with Tony when he was talking about the work that he and his wife do. Every time he would mention his wife, Alicia, it was always preceded with the word, my beautiful. My beautiful wife, Alicia, helps me do this. Me and my beautiful wife, Alicia, wrote this book for couples. The work that me and my beautiful wife, Alicia, are doing with One Extraordinary Marriage is impacting the world and has helped thousands of couples. And I asked him, I said, Tony, I understand why you're doing that. I see it through probably a different lens than you do. But Tony, why do you always refer to Alicia as my beautiful wife? And he said what he had realized is in their early years of their relationship, when he was struggling with his addiction, Alicia began to take a lot of that on herself. That became her identity, is I am not sexually pleasing my wife. I am not beautiful enough for Tony. This is my fault. She began to play the victim in the story of Tony's addiction. And by her own nature, many women do. And it's not their fault. Men are called to lead in their relationships. Men are called to set the tone in the environment and provide a safe place. And Tony recognized this. So through the work, and now 17 years later, every time Alicia hears Tony talk about her, it's preceded with the word, my beautiful wife. It's restored the confidence in her and the confidence that she has in him, that he is the man that she needs in her life. I said, Tony, that's powerful. But there's actually something even deeper happening when you say that. Tony, every time you refer to your wife, Alicia, you're reminding yourself in this world that she is the standard of beauty for you. And what happens here, man, is when we place the women in our lives as the standard of beauty, that doesn't mean that there's not other beautiful women, but we begin to rate them on a hierarchy with our wives, our women, our girls at top. So everybody that falls underneath that doesn't live up to the standard of beauty that Tony has placed in his life, which is his beautiful wife, Alicia. And it's a reminder to himself every single time he mentions her name that she is the standard. She is at the top of the hierarchy. And he goes, Frank, man, that's powerful. And here's what has happened within their relationship. They're so secure in themselves and so secure as a couple that they will be out in public. They will be at a restaurant. They will be walking down the street. And Alicia will now bump Tony if they walk by a beautiful woman and point her out and say, hey, did you see that one? And he'll reply back, yes, God did good, but not as good as what he did with you. So once again, he's reminded himself of the hierarchy. And it's okay that there are other beautiful women and they can appreciate and acknowledge that. But he doesn't participate in it. So men, if you want to stop sexually objectifying every single woman you come in contact with, yes, it starts with stopping consuming pornography. But the rewiring process is the fundamental important part here. If you're a married man, you have to, on a daily basis, remind yourself, literally, and rewire the thought patterns within your brain that beauty equals your wife equals beauty. How you talk to her, how you talk about her, how you journal about her, how you're grateful for her first thing in the morning. Begin to place your woman at the top of that hierarchy. And man, if you're single, the standard here for you is to begin to think about the ideal woman that you want to spend the rest of your life with. To point to another conversation I had on the podcast here to kind of highlight this story. I had Rob Kaosi. He's a promoter of Christian polygyny, which is not something that I support. But I brought him on for a debate discussion onto the podcast because he's been a great friend of mine and we support a lot of each other's work over the years. So despite me not agreeing with what his beliefs are, I wanted to have a discussion with him. And I've told this to Rob's face and I share this on the podcast that I think a lot of what he's practicing and beginning to research now is rooted in his own victim state, that he is 50 years old and he's not married yet, and he doesn't believe that he found or God provided him the woman that he was promised. And I know Rob personally. I know that he hasn't been very active as a dater. He's been waiting. He's been sitting in a waiting chair, waiting for a woman to be delivered to his doorstep, which I don't think happens, man. I think you have to go out there. If you want to create a real relationship, if you want to find a wife, if you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you have to be proactive in identifying who that person is, but then going out in the world and finding her. I said, Rob, well, you're an attractive man. You're a public figure. You have a massive following. You built a nonprofit. You throw social events and parties. You must come across a lot of women. He said, yeah, there's been many women in the past 20 years that wanted to marry him, but none of them were the one that he was looking for. I said, well, Rob, what are the criteria for this woman? And he gave me 3 points. She's got to be a believer in Christ. She's got to be red-leaning conservative. And there was one other bullet point. I can't remember what it was. I said, so Rob, you've met dozens of women that loved you and dozens of women that would marry you, and none of them checked those 3 boxes? And he kind of giggled, but I knew what I was doing is I was exposing a weakness in his thinking. I was exposing a weakness in his approach. You see, Rob didn't know what type of woman he was looking for. He was waiting for a woman to show up to him to tell him that I am the one for you. And man, I don't think anything in our life happens that way. Nothing in your life will happen without you envisioning it first. You want to build a great physique, take it from somebody that has placed high-level bodybuilding competitions. You have to envision and dream about the physique before you build it in the real world. You want to create financial independence. You want to launch a business. You want to start a side hustle. You have to think about these things, envision them in your mind first before they become into reality. You want to find the perfect person to spend the rest of your life with. You must envision her, think about the man that she is looking for, become that man, and then go out in the world and present that man to the world. And I pushed back to him. I said, Rob, In 2 years of singleness and abstinence and isolation from me, staying out of the dating market, I got hyper clear on the type of woman that I was looking for. Her hair color, her interest, her hobbies, her faith, her belief system, her worldview, her political views. Does she want to have a family? How many kids does she want to have? Where does she want to live? What type of home does she want to create? Got so clear on every single one of these factors. And I believe that will be what it takes for me to spend the rest of my life with the right person. So if you're a single man right now and you're like, well, I don't have a woman to place as the hierarchy, think about her, envision her. And then every other woman you see in the world that isn't her, isn't the right one for you, and it saves you a lot of headaches and hassles in the dating market. But when you see that woman, the world will reveal her to you because you know what you're looking for. And let's be honest and real here, man. The dating marketplace is a competitive category. And I know one thing that can happen with massive consumption of pornography is you can begin to distort your perception of beauty and reality. Be honest and be real with yourself, because it's not going to be the physical traits of beauty that will be most important to you for the rest of your life. It's the other innate traits that are more energetic, that are more about the way she laughs, the things she's into, who she is, the character, who she wants to become. This is a deep meditative thought process. This is just not I'm looking for, and then you list off 20 physical traits. You're looking for belief systems. You're looking for worldviews. You're looking for interests. You're looking for hobbies. You're looking for values, for principles. Those things shape timeless beauty, which is an essence that a woman radiates beyond her physical appearance. Yes, I want you to have a physically beautiful and attractive woman for the rest of your life. You deserve that, every single one of you. But it's the deeper meaning things that are actually what's going to be important here. And even spending the time thinking about these in a future partner or recognizing them in your current one will literally fundamentally rewire your brain as to what is important for you. And then when you stop treating women as sexual objects, the one that treat themselves as objects will no longer be attractive to you. Guys, I hope this episode was valuable. I hope it was helpful. I believe if you take what was talked about here and put into application, it will change your life. But it starts with quitting porn first. So what we've done is we put together a free training on the 12-step framework that has helped almost 900 men at this point break free from the shackles of this addiction. If you want this free training, visit rebuildsrecovery.com/12 steps. Or click the link down there in the show notes or it's in the description box here on YouTube. Rebuildsrecovery.com/12 steps. Guys, if you're getting value out of these on YouTube, 62% of you that are watching this right now are not subscribed. All we're asking, guys, is you click that subscribe button, turn those notifications on. You will not miss an upcoming episode. And our goal here is to continue to level up and bring more and more of this type of content for you guys. Click subscribe. Rate, review on Apple, Spotify. But we love you guys. Coach Frank, the Rebuilt Man. We'll see you in the next one.